Welcome to our exciting journey into the world of biology, Class 9. Today, we are diving into the fascinating chapter of Five Kingdom classification, specifically exploring a very intriguing topic, fungal diseases. Have you ever wondered how tiny fungi can cause big problems for our bodies? We'll uncover these mysteries together. Get ready to explore the basics, delve into deeper explanations, analyze complex mechanisms, and even touch upon competitive insights into fungal diseases. Let's begin this incredible learning adventure. Ready to discover the hidden world of fungi that can make us sick? Let's start with the basics of fungal diseases. What exactly are fungal diseases? Well, they're illnesses caused by a unique group of organisms called fungi, which belong to their own biological kingdom. Unlike plants or animals, fungi absorb nutrients from their surroundings. They love warm, moist places, making our skin, nails, and even internal organs potential targets. These infections can be mild, like a simple rash, or in some cases, quite serious, especially if your immune system isn't at its best. Understanding them is the first step to staying healthy. You might already be familiar with some common fungal infections. Take ringworm, for instance. Despite its name, it's not caused by a worm at all, but by a fungus that creates an itchy, red, circular rash. Then there's athlete's foot, which makes the skin between your toes itchy and burning. Nail fungus can turn your nails thick and discolored. And thrush, caused by *candida * yeast, can appear as white patches in the mouth or on skin. These are just a few examples of how fungi can affect us. Now, let's test your understanding with a few quick questions. First, what is a fungal disease commonly known as ringworm caused by? Second, can you list two common ways fungal infections can spread from person to person? And finally, suggest two simple hygiene practices that can help prevent athlete's foot. Pause the video, think about your answers, and then rejoin us. Great job with the basics. Now, let's peel back another layer and dig a little deeper into how these fungal invaders operate and what different types of infections they cause. To truly understand fungal diseases, we must first appreciate fungi as pathogens. Fungi are eukaryotes, just like our own cells, but they have unique features like a chitin cell wall. They become pathogens when they cause disease. Some are opportunistic, meaning they only strike when our immune system is weak, while others are primary pathogens, capable of infecting even healthy individuals. They cleverly produce enzymes to break down our tissues, absorbing nutrients and spreading their reach. Fungal infections, or mycoses, are classified by how deeply they invade our tissues. Superficial mycoses are on the very surface, like *tinea versicolor *, causing skin discoloration. Cutaneous mycoses go a bit deeper, affecting skin, hair, and nails, and are caused by dermatophytes, the culprits behind ringworm and athlete's foot. Then there are subcutaneous mycoses, which penetrate deep into the skin and underlying tissues, often from environmental fungi entering through a wound. This classification helps us understand their severity and treatment. Let's explore some specific examples. Dermatophytosis, or ringworm, is named for the body part it affects, like tinea pedis for athlete's foot. It often appears as itchy, red, scaly rings. Candidiasis, or thrush, is caused by *candida albicans *, a yeast normally present in our bodies. It can overgrow due to antibiotics or weakened immunity, leading to oral or vaginal infections. Aspergillosis, from Aspergillus * fungi, mainly affects the lungs, ranging from allergies to severe invasive disease in vulnerable individuals. Time for some medium-level questions. First, differentiate between superficial and cutaneous mycosis, giving one example for each. Second, explain why broad-spectrum antibiotic use can sometimes lead to candidiasis. Third, Name the group of fungi responsible for dermatophytosis and list two common names for these infections. Fourth, describe two environmental factors promoting fungal growth. And finally, what are two main approaches to treating fungal infections and when is each preferred? Good luck! Alright, it's time to elevate our understanding. Let's analyze the intricate details of fungal infections, including how our bodies fight back and the complexities of treatment. Fungi cause disease through sophisticated mechanisms. They first stick to our tissues using special molecules called adhesins. Then, they release enzymes like keratinases, breaking down our skin and nails to invade deeper and absorb nutrients. Some even produce toxins, called mycotoxins, that harm our cells. A clever trick many fungi use is dimorphism, switching between a yeast form and a mold form, often becoming more aggressive inside our bodies. Our immune system, with its physical barriers and specialized cells, is constantly battling these invaders, but if it's weakened, fungi can gain the upper hand. Let's dive deeper into cutaneous and subcutaneous mycosis. Cutaneous infections, like ringworm, are caused by dermatophytes that specifically digest keratin in our skin, hair, and nails, causing itching and inflammation. Diagnosis often involves examining skin scrapings and fungal cultures, and treatment uses topical or oral antifungals. Subcutaneous mycosis are more severe, chronic infections that penetrate deeper, usually from fungi entering through a wound from soil. Examples include sporotrichosis, which causes nodular lesions, and chromoblastomycosis, leading to warty growths. These require more intensive and prolonged treatment. Now, let's introduce systemic mycosis, the most serious fungal infections, affecting internal organs and potentially spreading throughout the body. These are often life-threatening, especially in immunocompromised patients. We categorize them into endemic or primary systemic mycosis caused by dimorphic fungi like *histoplasma*, which are geographically limited and can infect healthy people, typically through inhaling spores. Then there are opportunistic systemic mycosis caused by normally harmless fungi like *candida* or *aspergillus*, which only cause severe disease when the host's immune system is severely compromised. These are a major cause of death in vulnerable populations. Let's tackle some hard-level questions. First, explain how the dimorphic nature of some pathogenic fungi contributes to their disease-causing ability. Second, describe the role of both innate and adaptive immune responses against fungal infections. Third, compare cutaneous and subcutaneous mycosis based on invasion depth and acquisition. Fourth, identify two endemic systemic mycosis and their primary infection mode. Fifth, discuss two challenges in developing effective antifungal drugs. Sixth, how do fungal enzymes aid pathogenesis? And finally, why are immunocompromised individuals vulnerable to opportunistic fungal infections? Take your time to formulate comprehensive answers. You've mastered the hard concepts. Now, prepare to challenge yourself with the hardest level, where we'll explore the cutting edge of fungal disease knowledge, including advanced classifications, drug resistance, and global health implications. Let's refine our understanding of mycosis classification. Beyond depth, we categorize them by pathogen nature and host interaction. Primary mycosis are caused by inherently virulent fungi, like *histoplasma*, affecting even healthy individuals, often with specific geographic ranges. Opportunistic mycosis, on the other hand, are the most common cause of fungal deaths globally, striking only when the immune system is severely compromised, such as in HIV/AIDS patients or transplant recipients. Then there are allergic mycosis, where the fungus triggers a strong hypersensitivity reaction in the host, like allergic bronchopulmonary aspergillosis, without necessarily being deeply invasive. This nuanced classification is crucial for accurate diagnosis and tailored treatment strategies. Fungi employ sophisticated virulence factors to establish infection and evade our immune system. They have adhesins to stick to our tissues, and they secrete powerful enzymes like proteases to break down host barriers. Some, like Cryptococcus neoformans form a protective capsule to avoid being engulfed by immune cells. Melanin in their cell walls shields them from oxidative stress. Their ability to switch forms, or dimorphism, can also be a key virulence trait, optimizing them for survival and spread within the host. Furthermore, many fungi form biofilms on medical devices or tissues, creating a protective layer that makes them highly resistant to both antifungals and immune attacks, posing a significant challenge in clinical management. Antifungal drugs are designed to target unique features of fungal cells. Polleins, like amphotericin B, bind to ergosterol, a sterol in fungal cell membranes, poking holes in them. Azoles inhibit ergosterol synthesis, destabilizing the membrane. Echinocandins target the fungal cell wall by blocking beta-1,3 deglucan synthesis, causing the cell to burst. Allylamines disrupt another step in ergosterol production. However, fungi fight back by developing antifungal resistance. They can mutate their drug targets, pump drugs out of their cells using efflux pumps, or form protective biofilms that shield them from medication. This growing resistance is a major concern, making it harder to treat severe infections and driving the search for new antifungal agents and combination therapies. The epidemiology of fungal diseases highlights their global impact. Invasive fungal infections cause millions of deaths annually, often underestimated due to diagnostic difficulties. Primary systemic mycosis have specific geographical distributions, while opportunistic infections are widespread, especially in vulnerable populations. Emerging threats like the multidrug-resistant yeast Candida auris and aggressive mucormycosis, particularly seen during the COVID-19 pandemic, underscore the dynamic nature of fungal pathogens. Climate change is also a factor, potentially expanding fungal ranges and selecting for more heat-tolerant, pathogenic species. A One Health approach, integrating human, animal, and environmental health, is becoming crucial to effectively manage these interconnected fungal threats, emphasizing the broad ecological and public health implications of these microorganisms. Now for the first set of hardest questions. 1. Distinguish between primary and opportunistic mycosis, giving an example for each. 2. Describe 3 distinct fungal virulence factors. 3. Explain the mechanism of action for 2 different antifungal drug classes and how fungi resist them. 4. Analyze the role of specific host conditions in predisposing individuals to opportunistic fungal infections. And 5. Discuss the public health implications of Candida auris. Take your time, these require detailed thought. Here are the remaining hardest questions. 6. How does the eukaryotic nature of fungi influence antifungal drug development compared to antibacterial drugs? 7. Elaborate on the One Health concept in managing emerging fungal diseases. 8. Explain how fungal biofilms contribute to both antifungal resistance and infection persistence. 9. Why are endemic systemic mycosis associated with specific geographic regions, and what is their primary transmission mode? And 10. Beyond direct disease, how can fungi impact human health through allergic reactions, with an example? Challenge yourself to provide comprehensive and insightful answers. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into fungal diseases. From the basics to the hardest concepts, we've explored the fascinating world of these microorganisms and their impact on human health. Remember, understanding these topics is key to excelling in your biology studies. For more such engaging and in-depth educational content, make sure to visit synapse.omaps.in. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for regular updates and to continue your learning journey with us. Keep exploring, keep learning, and stay curious.